Welcome to the Brownsville Minute, a community conscious conversation and a platform that provides information, wellness, love, and unity all on a digital platform. And our goal is to try to make sure that our community residents are informed, conscious, and that we are connecting the dots on a virtual platform. The Brownsville Minute is designed for everyone. Please join us with the Brownsville Minute. Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Welcome to the lunchtime episode of the Brownsville Minute. It's me at a different time, same event. Glad that you're here joining us live. I am excited because once again, I will not be a part of the show. You will see me popping now and at the end. The Brownsville Minute is here to support you and to provide you with information that is fun, that is focused, built on unity and centered in love. My name is Anita Pierce, and I am the host and producer of the Brownsville Minute, but today is not my day. I am super excited to welcome to the table Imani Jones, who will introduce the show. So, bye-bye. Hope you got your snacks and a good and healthy lunch and lots of water. Hey, Imani.
Hi, Anita. How are you?
Bye.
Good afternoon, everybody. And I am so, like Anita said, I am so excited to have this lunchtime episode of the Brownsville Minute today. And I'd like to present the SYEP 11375's SYEP Youth Ambassadors. For the last 4 weeks, they've been working together to put together an episode of the Brownsville Minute, their very own, entitled Schools Out, Germs, Guns, and Mental Health. This presentation is directed by Kanisha Jones and Isaiah Martin, and it will be performed, well, our performer today will be Ashley Cruz, Isaiah Martin, and Florence Mabweze. Without further ado, here's Schools Out.
Welcome. My name is Isaiah Martin. I'm 18 years old, and I'm previously attending East College.
Hello, welcome to Schools Out, Germs, Guns, and Mental Health. My name is Ashley Cruz, and I'm 17 years old, and I'm also currently attending Hunter College.
Hi, my name is Florence Mabweze, and I'm 20 years old, and I currently transferred to the university at Buffalo.
Hi, so welcome. So today's topic is about mental health, COVID-19, and gun violence. So the question of the day, as you can see, is below. Listen below. How did COVID-19 impact mental health and marginalized communities? So who would like to start us off?
Okay, so I can start us off. I feel as though throughout the pandemic, a lot of people have developed heightened anxiety and depression, and that was because there was a lack of social interaction. This was because we jumped straight into quarantine, and through that we weren't allowed to interact with family members and friends and coworkers that basically people we see on a daily basis, and that affected a lot of people mentally. In regards to essential workers, I feel as though even though they were on the lines and interacting with people, their depression and anxiety came from thinking that they were going to contact COVID and potentially bring that to their families.
I like to add on to what Ashley said. So basically, COVID-19 impacted people's mental health in a form of anxiety. So students was taught virtually, and grown-ups, parents was working from home. So as for students, they didn't have opportunity, or they didn't have these things necessities in order to learn from virtual. So they didn't have like Wi-Fi. They didn't have these apps which allowed them to work through school. So this allowed them to have like ask themselves, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to learn? And so this was a form of anxiety which allowed the students to not understand what is going on. So basically what I'm saying is, when they was taught from Zoom, they didn't understand what is being taught because they wasn't paying attention. They was not paying attention at all. So as for parents, they lost their jobs based on COVID-19 because some of them was hands on. So they asked me, how am I supposed to feed my family? How am I supposed to provide food for my family? So they lost their jobs, and they was asking themselves, how am I supposed to get a job if we're quarantined? How am I supposed to provide for my family? So this was a form of anxiety which allowed them to like feel as if, how am I supposed to do this? So anybody like to add on?
I would say COVID had an effect on people's mental health. People in our community have felt a variety of feelings, including stress and anxiety due to the pandemic. And people also dealt with depression and insomnia. And then from working at home to, or not working at all, or people being on the front lines, they dealt with people juggled with multiple responsibilities in the midst of uncertainty and rapid change, and then having to deal with situations at home, taking care of their house, taking care of their kids. Everything must have been a struggle for people that are less fortunate, especially, and it took a toll on their mental health. And then I was doing research about how COVID affected people's mental health, and during the pandemic, about 4 in 10 adults in the U.S. have reported symptoms of anxiety or depressive disorder. And then also, according to the KFF Healthing Tracking Poll, as you can see here by this lovely graph, we have in January to June 2019, it's 11%. So basically, this graph is showing the average share of adults reporting symptoms of anxiety disorder and or depressive disorder. So from the blue bar is from June to January 2019, that's 11%. And then from January to 2021, that's 41.1%. So we can see how COVID has impacted people's mental health because there was an increase of anxiety disorder and depressive disorder. And also, I also did some research, and more extensive research, and it says that during the pandemic, adults in households with job loss or lower incomes report higher rates of symptoms of mental illness than those without a job or income loss. And it was like 53% versus 32%. So people that lost their jobs during the pandemic as well showed, and that impacted their mental health because like they're like, how they're gonna feed their, like Isaiah said, like how they're gonna feed their families, how they're gonna take care of loved ones that are not in the US. We have family, pretty sure all of us have family like in the Caribbeans, in Africa, for me, in the Hispanic countries or wherever you're from, like they're probably worried about how they're gonna feel their families, how those people even dealing with the pandemic over there. So it really stressed a lot of people out because it wasn't, I would say it was out of nowhere because people really weren't prepared. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Can I
Like
ask
certain
a
people
question?
had. Oh yeah, you go Ashley.
Okay. So we're talking about like how COVID affected people, but I want to ask, how did COVID affect you personally?
For me, personally, I feel as if COVID affected the way I did track. Like it took away my track career for senior year. So basically, I felt as if I was hopeless. Like I didn't understand like what to do for my free time because I usually work out and do track as a sideline for when I'm in school. So after I get out of school, I go and work out, but I still work out, but I still wasn't like used to my free time. What am I supposed to do on this free time? So basically, I just did random things, and I thought if COVID took away my freedom, like it took away the basic things I needed to do because I couldn't stay outside. My parents would not let me outside. They'll say you can't be outside that long because I don't. You ain't bringing COVID in my house. You know what I'm saying? So basically, it took away my freedom. So I was basically isolated from everyone. The people I love, like I used to go to school, like talk to my girlfriend or whatever, and chill out. But I couldn't do that because her parents like you ain't bringing that COVID in my house, and my parents like you ain't bringing COVID in my house. So that made me feel the anxiety because I wanted to see the people that I love. So like my grandma,
For me,
she
before
was
Ashley,
scared. Yeah, you could go on.
for me,
You could
before
talk.
Ashley goes, before she says how, for me, I don't think COVID had a negative impact on me personally. I don't think my mental, I would say a little bit, but it wasn't drastically. And for my personal opinion, I actually enjoyed lockdown only because it took me away from school. But that's my personal opinion. That's how I feel about
I
it.
mean, I
So,
coped with it. Like I coped with it in a way, but then again, it took
but
away my
it got
senior
boring
trip.
after a while though. Like
No,
it
it
got,
took away my senior trip, my
oh
prom. So
yeah.
that stuff for me, like
Um,
I was trying to live this high school dream, high school musical dream. You go to prom, like yo, could I take you on a date for prom? I could even ask that, you know what I'm saying? So for
Aww.
me, I was my biggest dream. I was like, yo, so I was gonna pick like a big banner for like my girlfriend, like, could I take you to prom? But I couldn't do that. It took away that, so it took away some of my freedom. So how I cope with it, I understand what is going on, the situation that is happening. So for me, I took it like deep inside. I understand what I was going through. So for me, I took it out by playing games, by playing track. I still got the opportunity to do track, but it was for a short while period of time. So I coped with it in a better way. I didn't cope with it in a negative way.
So before we get to the question in the comments, Ashley, you want to share how you got affected, or was it positive or negative before we get to the question in the comments?
Just briefly, I would like to say that I agree with Isaiah. It took away a lot of freedom and a lot of things that I love, and like just interacting with people on a daily basis. So yeah.
Okay, so question in the comments, we have, what realistic solutions helped you to stay focused during this time? I would say finding new hobbies to enjoy and like it would probably pass time. Like for me, COVID, I got into like skincare and my skincare routine, and I've been trying different stuff like that and buying stuff to see what works for me, what's not. So I was into skincare during COVID. What about you guys? What solutions helped you stay focused during the
Me, so basically, I play these online games, right? And not only just online games. I went outside actually and worked out. What else did I did? It took me. I'll lay down once in a while and understand like what am I gonna do today? What can I better life myself? What can I do better to make my next day better? So I ask myself those questions every day, and as a solution, I go and do it. Like everything that I didn't do, I make a note and be like, should I do this today? What am I doing? So I basically got like most of everything that I wanted to do out the way. Well, I'm still missing like a few points, a little few points. I still want that senior trip in that prom. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that. But you, Ashley,
Um, Man, okay. Yeah, I do have one like little thing that I did. I started working out during the pandemic, and it was, although like the pandemic
Facts.
itself was hard, it was nice to work out because it gave you like that source of oh my god, dopamine.
Yeah, yoga.
So
Wait, so wait. A question. Like, did you understand yourself better now, or do you understand yourself before the COVID happened?
I
Are you
definitely
are you close,
understand
like your spiritualized? Are you closer with yourself now than, or are you closer with yourself before?
now, definitely.
Now, spiritually.
Mhm.
So it takes something drastically to happen to be close with yourself.
Mhm.
I
That's what
guess
I'm saying. That's what I see it. So it takes something drastically in order for people to understand how something bad is happening and what they can do as people. So I feel as if this actually meant to happen.
Okay, so another question we have here is, how do we normalize self-care and getting help from a licensed professional? It's okay to get help, right? Anybody want to
See,
tackle this first?
yeah, it's okay to act. It's okay to express how you feel to certain people. You know what I'm saying? You can't just hold in an emotion and be like, I'm fine. Nobody is fine. Nobody can be fine 24/7. You know. So speak to a person. Explain how you feel about the situation, about what is going on with COVID-19. I feel as if students should have a free period where they talk about their emotions to their a therapist in order for them to better like themselves and to express these emotions instead of trying to hold in these feelings and feeling a form of anxiety. Holding in mental health causes pain. So as that pain, nobody likes that feeling. So in order to make yourself feel better as a human being, express yourself through talking, express yourself through socializing. But COVID-19 took that socializing aspect away. So they ask themselves, how am I supposed to express my feelings to people I can't see? So express yourself through other things, video games, working out. That's how people cope with that.
I would say to normalize self-care and getting help. Um, I would say like for people other people not to be judgmental about it or think it's a sign of weakness, especially in the black and brown communities. We think that most people think that seeking help or trying to talk to a therapist, it's weak or but it's really not. And I would say that putting rec centers, credit Isaiah to that for that idea. I would say putting rec centers in communities and small communities, so that people that are dealing with anything, they will be able to talk to somebody other than their family if they can't talk to their family, because it's hard to talk to their family, especially when older people like older people in the older generations, they don't take mental health seriously. So if you can't talk to your parents or whatever, you can always come to the rec center in your community and you can talk to the therapist there, the counselor there. So if everybody I feel like if it's more talked about and more spoken about, it will eventually
Yeah.
nice. And I also feel like it starts with us, the younger generation, us. I feel like it starts with us, and eventually we will all reproduce. And then if your kid is experiencing anything, you can always talk to them. And then I think that's how it would start up, and then it's gonna go in cycle. I feel like we should
Yeah,
just
I
kill
agree.
that. I feel like we should just kill that cycle of not taking mental health seriously, because ever since the pandemic,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. You know, yo, wait, there's a question I had. What, like before
okay, ever
that
since
I
the
had.
pandemic, people has been exposed. I mean, we all been exposed to the importance and seriousness of mental health because it had impact everybody in the world. So that's why I feel like people took it more seriously. Ashley, would you like to say anything or no?
I would like to say that I do agree with both of you, and I would like to actually add on. I feel like, in regards to what Isaiah said, like if you go into a pandemic and you have nobody to talk to, imagine if you don't know how to communicate before the pandemic, and before then you didn't have nobody to talk to. It
Yeah,
becomes like 10 times worse.
yeah.
And to like add on to that with what Florence said, We should definitely normalize mental health. There's a lot of like stigma, especially like in ethnic communities. Um, and a way to do that would be to like have conversations with your kids, talk about it more in school, having the
Yeah,
rec centers.
more in
Like I did that.
school. Facts. But to close out this first question that we have here, I just want to say that not only students and adults were mentally affected, but younger kids were also affected because they didn't experience like the outside world and going outside, especially like little toddlers and people that were born like recently, like 2019, like 3-ish, 4-ish. They didn't get to experience outside. Like I was watching a TikTok the other day, and these parents, they brought their daughter out for the first time to the park, and the daughter was like surprised. She was astonished because she never been in that kind of environment where she's seen other people and people playing. Like she never seen that. So COVID, I would say COVID, like it probably stripped away the kids probably beginning years because they didn't get to experience that type of environment.
Yeah, playgrounds and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and the playground and stuff. So,
Our next question.
Ashley, you want to talk about, you know?
Oh,
I guess we got to move on. The next question we have here is, how has COVID-19 and mental health affected gun violence in New York? Who wants to start us off with that?
Hmm.
Okay,
Ashley.
no.
Ashley. I like how Ashley started us off last time. Ashley.
Okay.
Brief description.
I feel like when it comes down to gun violence and mental health, um let's start off like the two types of mental health. So there's one type where there's like depression and anxiety, bipolar depression and all that. Then the next type of mental health would be like somebody who's a sociopath, has tendencies to hurt and kill people and animals and stuff like that. And I feel like both are susceptible to gun violence. The depressive one is susceptible to gun violence to themselves, such as like suicide rates and stuff like that. And the other one is susceptible to hurting other people using gun violence. So,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I got on to what Ashley said. So this form of it's what the form of anxiety that she stated. It comes from people like humans losing their jobs. So this leaves a question: how am I supposed to feed my family? They are now at a survival instinct now. So they're gonna ask themselves, how am I supposed to feed my family? So they look at the gun in their pocket and they're gonna ask themselves, this is the only option I have. But knowing that that's the only option, but in their mind that's the only option. So they're gonna, like in black communities, they don't have certain necessities, so they're gonna rob and steal money for their family in order for them to eat. So in that type of predicament, they gonna steal food for their family in order for them to eat. So I feel like that's where gun violence is occurring.
My opinion, I think gun violence is the cause of trauma and toxic stress, and it's a contributing factor into development of mental illness. And I think mental illness, I think I think mental illness is not a predictor of violence towards others, but it is a predictor of suicide. That's my opinion. Um, According to research that I did, it said that suicide attempts with a firearm results in the death of nearly 85% of the time, and that if mental illness was eliminated, that gun violence in America would go down just by 4%. So you can see that gun violence and mental health is like intertwined together. It's like together, and you can see that if gun violence goes down, no, you can see if mental illness goes down, gun violence will also go down. I think people did have reasons to be violent during the pandemic because of the uncertainty. They didn't know where they're going to get their food from, how they're going to take care of their kids or whatever. But I also think people that were depressed also were affected, and especially people that showed signs of mental illness prior to the pandemic. I think that people probably wanted to be suicidal because they couldn't handle everything. And I also want to say that Ashley mentioned two types. She said psychopath and the depressive one. And I just wanted to say that there are two, I agree with her that there are two types. And then I feel like one leads into the other. Especially, there's this wrestler. I used to be a wrestling fan, and it was the early 2000s. He was a famous wrestler. His name is Chris Benoit, and like I guess he was depressed and experiencing mental illness because he ended up killing his family and he hanged himself at the end. So I think that's an example of how depression, how one could be depressed and then it could lead into psychopath. I don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I can add on to what Florence said. If we have like in communities, if we have these opportunities where we could like add like these forms of like therapists, people like in rec centers, like last Florence stated earlier, if we add these things to help people with mental illness to let them express their emotion, I think there will be less form of violence and gun violence going around because people are showing emotion based on what they're feeling and letting out their emotions because they don't have nobody to talk to. So they're going to use these emotions to conflict harm on other people. So if we have these opportunities in communities where people are allowed to talk and speak, like have these group and express their feelings, I feel like there will be less violence going around in certain communities. If they give communities certain like necessities that they need, I think it will be less conflict that is going, less violence that is going on because certain communities need these things in order for violence to stop. You know what I'm saying? So certain communities don't have these resources, don't have these things that they need. So I feel as if communities need like these resources in order for violence and gun violence to stop.
That's resources from the government.
Yeah,
Stop
resources
giving
from
it
the
to the
government, like
police and give it to the people that really need it, which is the communities. And I also agree with Isaiah. I think gun violence has, especially during the pandemic, because with all of the rioting and the looting.
that came from George Floyd, police brutality, but that's
Yeah, so I feel like
sad.
that.
Yeah.
I feel like that really caused an increase in gun violence too, especially New
Yeah,
York.
but that was another form of change they wanted to happen. But violence in our communities, they need another form of change in order for violence to stop. This violence is occurring because they don't have what other people have. It's like a bias type of situation. Certain communities have what other communities don't have. So in order for this violence to stop, they need to serve communities like better resources.
So, a question from the audience we have: what's the correlation between the two? Is it really lack of resources, or is it moral or ethical thing? Ashley, would you like to tackle on this question first? Do you want me to repeat it?
No, I kind of understand it. Um, the correlation between the two. What does what do you mean
I
by
think
that?
is it a lack of
I'll
resources?
answer. I'll say it's more
Okay.
like a lack of resources. So what I'm saying, the community don't have certain values like for school. Let's say for school, they're missing books. So the students aren't being taught proper education. So as for the students, these students are not going to take school seriously, and this actually leads to them being in gangs. So this right here makes violence in the neighborhood because they think they're not being taught well. So it's like a domino effect. So later on, they're not going to take school seriously. So this is going to lead violence in our community. So if if I'm giving an example of what that is about, but and certain neighborhoods need certain resources like more books in schools, more food and more food opportunities and more like pantries for homeless people. Like there homeless people in communities that need help, but nobody's helping them. They're sleeping on benches. That type of stuff right there.
I would say before Ashley answers the question, I would say I think it's a moral um or ethical thing because we only have the lack of resources because the government funding they don't really give people that need it the money and the resources. Instead they give it to police departments. So yeah, that's what I think. Ashley, before we get into the next question, you want to answer?
I feel as though it's both. So there is a lack of resources, and it's also an
Yeah,
ethnical thing.
both. Wow,
Because
me too.
you grow up thinking that um, like emotions are kind of like a weakness, and especially like in ethnic cultures. And on top of that, there's also this like lack of resources, lack of available therapy, or lack of talking about mental health in schools, specifically with that ethnic majority. And yeah,
All right,
basically.
we got a question from the audience. What law should be in place to help to resolve mental illness and gun violence? They should place laws where it's not an age law, but they should place laws where if you're stable, if you have a stable income or like you have a good background, you be able to have a gun like for inside reasons, not outside. You can't carry a gun outside. You know what I'm saying? So
Like
I feel
a
like you should
background check.
only carry. You should only carry a gun inside the house. I feel like we should not be able to carry our guns outside the house. We should have like these type of other stuff that could protect us as human beings if we're in trouble outside. We should have certain like weapons, not weapons that will kill people, but weapons that will actually help if we're in a problem. But we carry our guns inside the house if we need it. So they should place a law where you can only carry your guns inside but not outside.
Like a background check. That's what you were
Yeah.
saying. I think it don't matter whether it's inside or outside. I think they should do a background check if people want to carry guns, and um I think it should not be so easy for people to get guns from like black markets or whatever. Like they need to I think they need to fix that problem too. Like even if they try to do it the legal way, people still going to try to find to get it an illegal way. So I think they need to fix that part cuz that's where most people get their guns. Thank you. Thank you. I think that's where most people get their guns the illegal way. So I think they should just
I
I don't
mean,
know.
I know what you're saying, but
How
it
people
doesn't matter.
But I don't know how people like the black market get those guns. I don't
As
know.
a black market is an unknown resource. It's basically
That's
online, so nobody knows what that
true.
is. But it's not a change that is gonna happen all of a sudden. It gotta take time for it
That's
to happen.
true.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen overnight. Oh, you're not gonna have a gun. You're not gonna have a gun. Out your hand, out your hand. It's take time because people are sneaky and devious. So it takes time for this to happen. And we got another question. Final question from the audience. How is important is understanding civil engagement for our communities? Would you like to answer, Ashley? I haven't heard from you in a minute.
Oh, okay. So basically, I think that no matter what, civic engagement is important, especially if you wanna bring to the light about like any problems in your community. Um, so across all communities, you should be talking about issues in your specific community so that can get the attention that it deserves. So yeah.
Yeah, we should have like these stakeholders meeting that allows us to talk about the certain situation and problems that is going on in our communities in order for us to make change. So if you have an issue, we all as a community come together and discuss the things we need in order to make change. We can't just be not we can't like as a community, we can't like stop and not make people know what is going on. It takes for people to talk in order to make change. You can't just sit there and be like, I need this change and not say anything. Nobody gonna know that. You gotta come together as a community and talk about making a change.
That's
You can't be
so
baby you can't be baby fed. You gotta be a whole grown up and discuss
true.
the issues.
Like how our ancestors did back then during slavery, how they wanted change and they rioted and they boycotted and they did whatever they needed to do to get the change, and that's why we are here. So I feel like us
That's why
young
civic engagement is important for our
yeah,
communities. We
us
all need to
young
come together, community, to make
yeah.
change.
Because I feel like if we're all standing together, then eventually change will happen.
Yeah,
Um,
it's gonna happen. Like I said, it's not gonna happen overnight, but it's gonna happen.
yeah,
Um,
We
I
have
it
would
to
didn't
like to
make
happen
it
overnight
happen.
back then too.
I would like to wrap up by saying like a small statement. I know the topics that we're talking about are like really depressing and kind of hard to come to terms with, but I want everybody to know who's watching that there is hope and that if you are experiencing any negative thoughts, please reach out to the hotlines below, either domestic violence or the suicide hotline, whatever you need, they're there for you. And yeah,
But yeah, less violence equal a safer community. Remember, no more violence, guys. Peace is harmony.
My name is.
my name is
That's it.
Ashley Cruz and this is Schools Out.
My name is Florence Wambweze.
My name is
Isaiah.
Isaiah Martin,
And this
and
is
thank
Schools
you for
Out.
tuning in to School is
Thank you
Out.
for tuning in.
Bye.
And there you have it. The youth, our youth ambassadors had the courage to really take on tasks and conversations that probably most of us may not want to deal with. We are excited to have presented the SYEP um, Youth Ambassadors of 11375. We hope that you enjoyed this short. It is really an opportunity for us to be able to develop our young adults and allow them to be able to expand their courage by doing something different. This is their final project as a part of participating as an 11375 Youth Ambassador through SYUP. I am super excited that I didn't have to talk as much today, but I'm glad that you were able to tune in and to be able to share with them with this experience. And so, on that note, we do have a few announcements. Again, wanted to put up if you are in need of, support, and you're looking for to outreach and to talk to someone. The young people have researched telephone numbers that can be of use to you. The goal is to try to normalize the conversation of what wellness looks within our communities. And the more and more we are talking about it, the opportunities for us to become well holistically will happen over time. So we wanted to make sure that we share that with you. Wanted to also just put up a few other opportunities. There are grants for small businesses between $5,000 and $25,000 that are available through the New York State Empire Development COVID-19 Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant. If you are interested, please make sure that you check the website. There are specific qualifications that you do have, so please, before you apply, review all of the requirements so that you can gain access to the resources that are out there and available. Wanted to also mention for small businesses that the New York City Small Business Resource Network has a number of available opportunities for those who are looking to transition into business. These services under this network that's connected through the Chamber of Commerce and other um, organizations that's connected, those services are for free. And so if you are in in the space where you are looking to start a small business, this is one of the opportunities that exist here. Wanted to also mention that Green City Force has job opportunities. We are going to share the community announcements at the end of this episode so that you can, if you missed them in the beginning, you'll have an opportunity to see them again. So on that note, I really want to thank you for taking time to, again, out of your lunch hour, hope that you enjoyed this time with us. The Brownsville Minute is a resource that we use for our community to provide information for you in love, and in unity. So want you all to stay tuned. On Monday night, we are going to have another episode of Let's Talk Crap, where we are continuing the conversation about the cannabis industry and what that means specifically for our community. And so stay tuned Monday night, locked here, 11375 the Brownsville Minute, and also the Let's Talk Crap on Facebook and on YouTube. Please like, follow, and share. We're doing good work, all centered in love and unity. See you Monday night. Thank you all for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank you.